This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system. Hello and welcome to the Boundary Park alert system, episode 15 with me, Matt Dean. This week's episode is a two-part special. Today's episode, part one, is an interview that I did with Jason Flynn and Paul Hughes, the chair and vice chair of Trust Oldham, respectively. Part two, which will be out on Wednesday this week, is a response to the interview in the form of another interview that I recorded with Andy Halliwell and Chris Nuttall, two Latics fans that have been on this podcast before, this Sunday. This week has been true to form on the pitch with a disappointing performance and result at home to Walsall on Tuesday, followed by a fantastic performance and result away at Newport on Saturday. There's no doubt that the team is making some good progress under Harry Kewell and we're seeing some exciting games, lots of goals, and there's cause to be optimistic if we can put our home form right. After a very poor start, it's shaping up to be, potentially, one of the most exciting seasons in recent history. Off the pitch, the David Wheater situation is ongoing, but other than that, it's been fairly quiet and we've been focused mainly on the football, which is as it should be. So before I start the interview with Jason and Paul, I'd like to extend my thanks to both of them for taking the time to talk to me and for agreeing to go public on this platform. We all know that the Trust has lost a lot of support and that the fans will no doubt have lots of questions about the role it has played in recent years. But I decided to focus more on the future of the Trust in this interview, giving Jason and Paul the opportunity to tell us about the new board and what its main intentions are going forward. As always, I'd like your feedback as a listener to this podcast and as a fan of Oldham Athletic, so please do send me your tweets and emails. The details are in the credits at the end of the show. Okay, so I'm sat this evening with Jason Flynn and Paul Hughes from Trust Oldham, who we've been arranging this for a few weeks now, and I'm delighted that you've been able to join me this evening. So thanks very much and welcome to the Boundary Park alert system. What I would like maybe to do just for a kick-off, if I just ask you to introduce yourselves and what your position and role is at Trust Oldham.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jason Flynn. I'm the chair of the Trust Oldham. I've been involved in the Trust for 2 years. Obviously an avid Latics fan. I actually live and work in London, and I'm a member of Oasis, and I try to follow Oldham as much as I possibly can, away from home when they're in the south, and when I can get to games in Oldham with my season ticket.
Okay, I'm Paul Hughes. I'm the vice chair of the Trust for my sins and also the rep on the club board. Retired from work. My history goes back a long time with the Latics. My dad worked for the club in the 1960s. My mum and my grandma used to serve the pies and the bovril in the kiosks. And so as a kid, I spent a lot of time at Boundary Park. My dad used to manage the Old Athletic Supporters Club when they played on Little Wembley. So I was there during the season, sometimes Saturdays and Sundays. And there was a lot of talk in our household about Oldham Athletic that I can recall from being kind of 11 years old.
Good stuff. So it's in the blood.
Just about, I think, yeah.
It's in the blood and it's in the bovril. I mean, that's the thing. I talk to a lot of Latics fans, as you can imagine, through the podcast and all over the country, all over the world, in fact, and it means a lot to us as fans, and you guys are obviously no different. You're first and foremost, you're Oldham fans, and that's how you find yourself on the board and involved in the Trust. Obviously, in the last year or so, there's been some changes at the Trust, and you've recently just appointed a new board. And do you want to tell us a little bit about the board itself and what your impressions are of it as a working unit and what the personalities and the people are and the roles that are on there? Does someone want to just give us a bit of a brief on the new board?
Yeah, I can go. So the board is kind of made up of a couple of old faces who have been around for a number of years. Tracy Wright and Mark Harrington. Philippa Whitaker joined around about the same time as me a couple of years ago. And then there's a couple of new members of the board, Paul Lawson and Paul Hughes, who's talking today. So it's a really nice mix. I think we've got a good skill set and a good mix of skill set in terms of people with financial background, people with businesses or past businesses in the local area. Some people who live locally, some people who live a little bit further afield. So it's a really nice mix, and with the one thing in common, we're all care and passionate about Oldham Athletic and everything football related, and also the community in Oldham as well. Having said that, we're always looking for new people to kind of come along as well. And get involved. So, I'll encourage anybody who is interested to be involved, not necessarily in terms of just the directorship, but there's a number of areas that we need some help in and expertise as such.
Yeah, I mean, I got involved basically because we were down on numbers, and I mean, at the end of the day, we need help and we need assistance. We set ourselves up as a critical friend of the club, if you like, to oversee things for the future of the football club going forward. Hopefully for the next 125 years, though we won't be around then.
No. But in terms of members, then you mentioned volunteers, and we'll come back to that. But what's the membership like at the moment? Then, how many members are on the books?
As of December, 2020, we have 218 members, right? Okay. Which is is good, but I think we can do a lot better. We're looking to try and grow that membership over the course of 2021, and we'll continue to try and build a relationship with the fans, and hopefully build up that membership going forward.
Have you got a target number that you've set as a group, or
we've not set a target, but our initial thought process is to aim for 500. I think it's a reasonable target to aim for, but ideally we would like anybody who's a season ticket holder or a regular attendee in normal times at Boundary Park or for away games to be involved. We want to represent the fans. We want to work with the various fans group, and we, as Paul rightly said, we want to be a critical friend and hold the club to account in our role as trust of Oldham Athletic.
Where do you think you've succeeded in? When I say you, obviously I'm referring to the trust as opposed to you guys as individuals. Where do you think the trust has done things well in the past that you can be inspired by, and where do you think that they've done things that maybe they've not done so well and that need to strengthen going forward?
I think that I've only been on the block for 3 or 4 months, but from what I can see, in years gone by, they've organised various events which have raised some cash. They've been able to support the club in various ways, which is tending to happen not at all at the minute, obviously because of COVID, but also because the numbers are down in terms of the organising potential. But I mean, in the last month or so, or 6 weeks, we've managed to help the academy with some transport, sponsorship, and we hope to carry on helping the academy more so, if you like, than the first team at the moment, because that's what the members want us to do.
How did you find that out? Did you do a survey, or where did you get that feedback from the members?
Yeah, we did a survey. We asked the members. I mean, last season we sponsored a first team player, sponsored a shirt and what have you, and I believe we've done that for some years. And we decided to ask the question of the members if they wished us to do that this year, or would they like to do something else. Gave them various choices, and the one that came out on top was the young lads, the academy.
What is the key role of the trust then? What's when you brush off all the events and the sponsorships and this, that, and the other, what do you think the core responsibility of the trust is?
Just going back in time a little bit, like I think one of the key things that we've discussed with the FSA is having the 3% holding in the football club, right? I think that gives us some power, not as much as we would like, but it gives us some power. And having the representative on the board is another key aspect. I think the third aspect, that we've been involved in the past is the asset for community value of the stadium and Little Wembley. I think all of those things give us some key responsibilities that we need to kind of utilize and represent the fans and the community appropriately with that responsibility.
And I read a lot of the applications from potential board members when they were released on the Trust Oldham website prior to the meeting, and the words fan engagement, was probably the most common used. Everybody suggested that engaging with fans was one of the things that they would want to see happen, and would be a reason why they should be appointed to the board. What does that mean, and how are you going to do it? Because it's easy to write fan engagement, but it's obviously requires a lot of practical things that need doing and a lot of work and planning, etc. What have you got planned?
So first of all, I think let's just talk about, rather than the kind of the actual plans, let's talk about why it's important. We've talked about the responsibilities, and I think over the years, I think we all acknowledge that the trust has had a mixed opinion from the fans. So we want to do a better job in terms of representing the fans, right? And we'll do that through the membership. We'll do that through regular fans forums. We've got our established kind of AGMs. We're open to kind of, set up some events, some fundraising events, but also, opportunities to kind of, get to know some of the fans on a more personal basis, put names to faces as such. But really want to understand, where that, we obviously know some of the fans kind of issues with the current, ownership and the status of the football team and so on. But we really want to, kind of take that relationship forward in terms of representing the fans in forums such as club board meetings, relationship with the board, relationship with the CEO. We do speak with these people on a regular basis. We do speak with the FSA. We've actually spoken to the council on a number of occasions. So there are a lot of discussions going on behind the scenes, and we want to represent the fans' views and do what is right for the football club first and foremost.
I think that one of the things that the trust has been criticised for in the past is leaning more towards trying to keep the club happy rather than keep the fans happy, i.e. not expressing. Now, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. This is just how I think it's perceived, so that's whether it's true or not is another issue. But I think the perception is that the trust has tried to keep the club happy rather than maybe be as critical as fans would like the trust to be. Therefore, as speaking as a representative of the fans. Do you think that that's a valid criticism?
Yeah, look, I think first and foremost, I think it's a really difficult balancing act from someone who's watched Darren Radcliffe, who was the previous kind of representative, and Paul Hughes, who's the current representative. I think getting that balance right between being critical to the club but also building a relationship with the club is extremely difficult. So I think we can argue that over a number of years we could have been on, we could have got that balance slightly wrong. But I think I've only known Paul for a relatively small amount of time, and I think he's a great person, to kind of do that role, and he's not going to, he's going to stand his ground both with the club with the trust and explain his situation. And Paul, it'd be good to kind of give your view on your approach to the role.
That's fine. I mean, I am relatively new. I've had a couple of physical meetings with Carl Evans and a Zoom meeting or two with him and Barry Owen. I know there's some history, and I know there's some suspicion, if you like, between the club and certain members of the trust, and certain members of the trust and the club. Carl's the new kid on the block for the football club. I'm the new kid on the block, if you like, for the trust. And between the two of us, we need to try and make sure that we can drive everything forward properly. Initially, bearing in mind I've been in the situ for not much more than a couple of months, I've concentrated my efforts on trying to make sure that as far as I can, that the club seem to be functioning okay and properly, that bills are being paid. There's been maintenance going on in the ground. I'm not 100% certain all the bits and pieces of it. I'm not in a position to prove that everything's hunky-dory, but I've been around long enough in my business life to be able to work things through and I think to understand what questions to ask. And bearing in mind they're in a situation where they've got no paying customers and many bills and increased bills with COVID. They've been severely hit with 16 members of staff affected. Didn't get off to a great start on the football side, which is of importance to all of us, but seem to be turning it round a little bit. And I get an impression that there's a reasonable atmosphere at the place, as far as you can do, bearing in mind the situation that we're in. I mean, I can't just pop in and talk to people and look at things and see for my own eyes what I believe to be right and what I believe to be not as good or wrong or whatever, because you just can't do it, can you? We're in this situation and we just have to muddle through as best we can. I don't know about the North Stand and stuff like that. I mean, it's all going on with the owner, and I guess we'll find out when we find out.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of issues that have been going on at Latics for a long time, and these things don't change overnight. And I don't think anyone reasonable expects people who are new to the trust to be able to come in and wave a magic wand and make everything right straight away. So there's obviously patience is required. One of the things that I think has happened, you mentioned that the numbers in the trust have gone down, and I think that fans have lost faith and trust in the trust. That's something that has happened over time for one reason or another. And I think what's happened in the meantime is obviously groups like Push the Boundary, or in specifically Push the Boundary, have kind of filled the void, really, in terms of trying to gather information from supporters and present that information back to the club and to the trust and to the relevant parties. Now, they've managed to engage over 1,000 fans to their group so far. And they're obviously doing something very right in the way that they communicate and that they present and organise themselves. So is that something, are you looking to learn from how they've gone about their business, and what kind of relationship are you looking to build with Push the Boundary going forward? Being that they are what they are now, they do have a voice of a large number of supporters, 5 times the amount that you've got currently. So as a trust, so it's obviously it's a dynamic that needs addressing, I would say.
Yeah, we've spoken with Push the Boundary on a few occasions, and we've got an active dialogue. So we're looking to work with all fan groups, and Push the Boundary being obviously a key one. Look, we don't always agree on everything, and we don't always agree on the stance of everything that Push the Boundary says and the approach. But I think we have a lot of things in common in terms of our views, and we want to work together with all fans, right? As a trust and as supporters groups. We're only going to succeed in making change if we pull in the same direction. If we go off and pull in different directions, we'll achieve nothing. So it is important to have that dialogue and to work together. And when we've had a number of positive meetings, and we'll continue to do so. We'll meet again in the new year. And we'll continue to build those relationships both on the club side and on the fan side.
Do you think that it's an issue that some fans maybe have kind of taken sides in some respects, in terms of like putting their allegiances to one group or another, be it the Trust or be it something like Push the Boundary, because maybe they expect that group that they feel represents them to do what they want them to do when the other group doesn't?
I mean, I think it was.
Go on, Paul.
I mean, that may well be the case for some people. I don't think for all. I mean, I don't know how many of our members are members of Push the Boundary as well. I don't really know. They have their views, which, are a little bit more radical in some areas than ours. And it's up to them to to go their way in that direction, whereas we're a little bit more conservative, if you like.
I understand that there is a difference between Push the Boundary as a fans group and the Trust, and the relationships that the two groups have with the club and with the board and all the rest of it. I understand that there is a difference. Obviously, there's a common ground. I think there has to be some kind of meeting of that, kind of being able to push the club as the Trust to a point that satisfies the fans, as opposed to not doing. And I understand that you might not want to push them as hard as maybe Push the Boundary does, but it's certainly a case of finding that balance, isn't it? Where you feel that if fans have got valid grievances, that they're being pushed and put to the club in the right way.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. At the moment, the fans seem a bit happier than they were, say, 6 or 7 weeks ago, because the team's doing okay. And when the team does okay, fans tend to be happier than when it's not okay. Now, we can't influence in that sense, but where you can influence a little bit is when people are working together, and that's not just people, the lads on the pitch, but behind the scenes as well. And that's where we need to help and push and to try and keep things on track. I don't think, as long as I've been an Oldham Athletic supporter, there's been a group of fans or some fans that have been disgruntled because of the club's skint, and they'd like a new owner to come in with plenty of cash and this, that and the other. I mean, it's unlikely to happen. And I mean, at the moment, if you look at the English League, there's probably 60 clubs, 50 clubs certainly, that are struggling, and many of them, I would suggest, probably struggling more than what Oldham Athletic is. How
do we address that then? Because I'm very much of the mindset that we're all in this together: the owners, the club, the fans, the trusts, the supporters groups, and I agree it's about working together. How do we look into making Oldham Athletic a more sustainable football club in the next 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? How do you think we can? I think that now is a time where we need to be looking at that. What kind of discussions have you had as a trust about that kind of thing?
In terms of, I haven't done any discussions along that kind of thing at the minute. I think it's probably discussions we need to have. But at the minute, I think from the football club's point of view, they just want to get through this pandemic and try and get back on an even keel. There's discussions going on around this big picture thing and all the rest of it, and money does need to filter down. And as I say, there's probably 50 clubs that are all struggling a little bit at the minute. I know that the Oldham, the club it was reasonably okay up through November. It's probably getting a bit tight now. January, hopefully the next solidarity payment comes through from the league. But it ain't easy, and it's not easy for 50 clubs. And in terms of what the answer is, there's probably 50 clubs looking for it.
No, I appreciate it's not easy. We've come off the back of the Cordy era, the Three Amigos, League One, mediocrity, which was from the bottom of League Two. That looks quite good. You're looking at when you're bottom of League Two as we were, and like you've rightly said, performances have improved. The fact that Harry Kewell's been given time, he's not been sacked, which I think previous managers have been sacked by this stage, and so maybe there's been some lessons learned from the owners there to keep hold of a manager and let him actually work with a squad for a sustained period of time. So there's obviously benefits there. In fairness to Abdallah and Mo, they've signed some decent players. We've got a good strike force in the club. So yeah, obviously that does have a short term positive effect on supporters. This is League Two football. It's Oldham. That could all change. I've tried to reflect that on the podcast. I'm trying to enjoy the current form and what's happening. But, it's a delicate balance and it could shift the other way. But what I'm sort of talking about here is, we know there's 50 clubs or whatever, however many clubs struggling. And we know that football as a whole probably needs to reassess how it manages itself. But as Oldham fans, and primarily what we care about is Oldham Athletic and the town of Oldham, and there has to be a better way of a more sustainable and a better way of managing and running a football club that engages the townspeople, that makes them want to invest their money into the club, and a longer term strategy. Abdallah's not going to be with us forever. We know that. Even if he's with us for 20 years or 30 years, he's not going to be with us forever. So isn't it a time where we need to start looking at how we make the football club even more solid part of the community? And reassess how we build this model, what the business model is going forward. I think now is a really good time to do that. I know that's kind of like a long-winded kind of way of going about it, but I just think that now is the time to look at that, because we can't just keep waiting and expecting people to come in and throw in millions and millions and millions of pounds of their own money. And Trust Oldham's remit is to ensure the well-being and the survival of Oldham Athletic going forward.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of points there, right? And again, I think everybody's got their opinions in terms of the benefits that a rich benefactor brings to the club. We've seen that work in positive examples across the country, and we've seen it work in negative examples. We've also seen trust or community-owned clubs sell out, relatively recently, to rich benefactors, when the right offer is on the table. So there's a multiple, I don't think there's one specific answer to the question in terms of, you can make it work no matter what the kind of ownership model is. As I've said before, I think, the fans having a share in the club, I think is key. We can argue what the right shareholding is. I do like the Germany model in terms of fan ownership and so on. And I also think, we met with the EFL, about a year ago, and with the FSA to kind of talk about, ideas and options around club ownership and so on. And I think, with the big picture and salary caps, I think that is a step in the right direction. But to kind of say that, because we've seen some negativity with a single benefactor, that doesn't work. I think that is a little bit naive, but I do think we've got to set ourselves up for success as a trust and as supporters to kind of prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I think if COVID has taught us anything, I think that is one saying that we need to bear in mind. And I think we do need to be prepared if Abdallah was to walk away. And what is the next chapter in Oldham Athletics history and future. So we need to set ourselves up to be in a stronger position to take advantage of that scenario and potentially become a community club if that was an appropriate outcome.
So what discussions have you had then as a board about about that sort of like that war chest or that rainy day fund, or being in a position to do that should the club need the fans to step in, so that it's not a last minute Wigan Athletic job, and like it was at Latics, all those years ago, where you're shaking buckets saying we need your money now or we're going to go under.
Yeah, so I think a couple of points on what we've discussed with the SFA, and we've talked to representatives from other clubs. I think Portsmouth is a good example, where when the owner pulled out at short notice, the fans were in a position to take over. Now, to get him from where they were at that point to the starting point where we're closer to, was many years. So this is not an overnight thing, but we do need to get ourselves in a better financial position, both as a trust and as supporters. I do think we need the right expertise in various industries across, to support a football club and a fans group. And we do need to kind of grow our membership, and we do need to build relationships with other supporters groups. So all of those things that we've talked about, I think, are stepping stones to put ourselves in a stronger position. But we're, another example is arts. We've had some conversations with Hearts Trust. And they were able to kind of build a really compelling, argument and financial structure to kind of help them, take over the running of the club. So there are examples of clubs that and supporters who have made that work. But we're under no illusion that it's gonna be it's gonna take an effort, and we're gonna need all the supporters support and financial support to kind of help us improve the situation and move forward on that basis.
So is that then? Am I right in thinking that is something that the trust has discussed and wants to explore going forward? Then, in terms of building up the trust to a point where it is able to contribute, not necessarily contribute financially to the club, but it's preparing it's prepared for, not that necessarily everything goes wrong, but maybe there comes a point when Abdallah wants to sell the club and move on, and maybe the trust can then step in and have a bigger involvement, a bigger share, and that it's galvanised fans towards ensuring the future of the club, regardless of what happens. Are you trying to set the trust up like that now? Is that the discussion you're having?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a double-pronged attack, if you like. I mean, there aren't many of us on the board. We need more people with ideas to push things forward, to help us raise cash, etc., which all helps with that side of things. Well, the other thing that we can do, that we are doing, is building a list of names of what you might call influencers, for want of a better expression, i.e. local councillors that may have an affinity with the football club, businesses, that kind of thing. People that if it became a bit of a disaster situation, you can immediately mobilise and try and get something moving and shifting, which would hopefully assist a bit more than just shaking the buckets and everything else that you might want to do. But what we need to do is make sure that we have an idea of who those individuals are, a way to contact them, and on D-Day, so to speak, we're talking to them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to, from my own point of view, I know you've created a new website recently, and there is a little bit more activity on social media, but I'm not sure that there's a very clear vision for the fans to buy into with the trust as it stands at the moment. I'm just wondering if that's something that you're working on, because for me it seems like if you want to get all the fan engagement, people to volunteer, to contribute money, there needs to be a very clear vision for what the intention of the trust is and what role an individual is going to play in that. And it just doesn't seem that has been sort of identified yet. Would I be right in is that a fair point, do you think?
I don't know whether it's fair or not, to be fair. We've appealed for members and for assistants and all the rest of it. We've done things like player interviews, which we'd like to start doing again. Jason's mentioned the fans forums, which we can't do at the minute, but we'll start again. And we'll organise events to try and raise some money and bring people in, and from there hopefully build a membership base. But we're starting from a low base. At
the moment, everything's done online. Like you said already, reasonably, we can't meet physically in any kind of numbers. So online engagement is really, really important. Using social media is really, really important. What's your plans for that? Because I've obviously noticed I'm on there a lot, and I've noticed that the engagements through Twitter, on the face of it, don't seem great in terms of comments and retweets and shares and likes and all that kind of stuff. So what's your plan for utilising social media to get to get more people involved?
Do you want to go, Paul? Or?
Well, I don't think we've got much beyond in terms of social media than what we do on the website with organising the player interviews as and when we get back in with them and that kind of stuff. I mean, we do have a presence on Twitter, such as it is, but it probably isn't great. I mean, I don't do Twitter, so that's me as far as that's concerned.
We are looking to get someone who can help with the communications and be a bit more professional around our communications and a bit more engaged with the fans. But yeah, we will continue to be active on social media. We'll continue to update the website, and we'll continue to build that engagement.
Yeah, I'm looking at it from a fan's point of view. That's all I am at the end of the day. I'm a fan who spends too much time on Twitter. Unfortunately, it is a bit of a black hole when you're on there, and the Oldham hashtag is an interesting place, let's say. And especially with COVID, we find ourselves on there more and more often. It's a great way to especially yourself, Paul. Jason, you're down in London. You're not surrounded by Oldham fans. I'm in Dublin. I'm not surrounded by Oldham fans. I found it a really great way to connect and to get to know a lot of people, to have conversations and to find out how people feel. Now, it's not an accurate barometer of how all fans feel. I understand that, but I've found it to be a very useful tool. And in terms of getting the podcast off the ground, it's been really, really useful. It's been really good, and I know that pushed the boundary of put it to great use. So, so I just wanted to know what your intentions were for, I guess, like you said as well, Jason, wider, broader communication and PR, because I think there is work to be done from that point of view in terms of getting people on board and maybe changing the image of the trust somewhat.
Yeah, as we said, I think the new website, trustoldham.org, is up and running. I think although I say it myself, it's well put together. It's got a lot of information on there. We will be updating our communications, off the back of important meetings, meetings with the club, meeting with stakeholders, and we'll continue to utilise Twitter and Facebook and the other social media as much as we possibly can.
Paul, have you been able to meet with the board, members and directors and the owner at any stage yet, virtually?
No, I've had one meeting, if you like, along with the rest of the trust with Abdallah when I first joined, and that, he's not been in the country for some time now. I've met on a Zoom with Barry Owen, and obviously I meet with Carl Evans, but I've not had a chance yet to meet with any of the others. No.
It is a strange time in that sense at the minute. So that's fair enough, and it's not something you can say as and when you'll be able to either, can you? Because of the
it isn't, because it just isn't. I mean, it's very difficult. Everybody's very busy with everything that's going on. There's increased workload. I know from what the norm is, and they're all working hard to make things okay. I mean, the club, to be fair, in its administration, I don't think it's done too bad. I mean, the way it's administered, I follow was pretty good. It got good results when we did the survey on it, and the communication, I think, has improved a lot. They're sending out a weekly newsletter now to season ticket holders that just wasn't happening. The Barry Owen did a kind of an update meet, and they are. I know it's something that Carl wants to do is to engage more and to put more information out, such as you can. So I think, to be fair to the club on that score, they're probably doing okay.
I think it's a very difficult job. I know that they've only got a small team who actually run the club day to day, and they've all got a lot of work to do. There's been a lot of turnover in the past of staff. So I try very much on this podcast to try and be as balanced as possible. I know that people are working hard and doing the best when that comes to whether that be the trust, whether that be the club. It's not about being overly critical or anything like that. And I think in terms of the playing side of things, we've criticised and we've given praise this season. I think that's the right way to go about things. Is there anything that you would like to say to fans? Any kind of a message that you've got for fans that are listening to this now, whether they're already a member of the trust or probably more importantly, if they're not a member of the trust?
Yeah, I'd like to say to fans, give us a chance. We have got some new faces. I'm confident that we're moving in the right direction. Like I said, we're not here to alienate other fans groups. We're here to work with other fans group, and as I've said previously, we do have an active dialogue with Push the Boundary, and there is a lot of work that we're engaged in behind the scenes with the SFA, with the EFL, like we mentioned, with the council, with the club. There is a lot of work going on behind the scenes. We need to be better at communicating that work to the fans. And as I've said, we want to represent the fans and the direction of the supporters trust. And the supporters, of the club in the right direction, and we want to take those views on board. And as Paul has rightly pointed out, we want to have a good relationship with the club, but we also want to hold them to account, right? And we want to call them out on items that we're not happy with, and we want to continue to build that relationship. But in the right way.
I mean, if anyone wishes to contact us, we're available. The email address is on the website. If you want to address anything that you want me to talk about, I'm quite happy to talk to people via email or any other way. We do want to engage, and we have views that we can put across on a one-to-one, and we need more members, and we need more assistance, and we need to be doing more than we are doing.
What kind of things, when you say you need assistance and volunteers, what kind of thing do you mean by that? What kind of people are you looking for to fulfill what roles?
Well, we need communications people. We need people with IT skills, and we need people that will help us to organise different kinds of events as and when it's possible to do it. We've organised various events in Royton Cricket Club and places like that in times gone by, and we'd like to do the same again, quiz nights and all kinds of different things. But you need people to help to organise, to sell the tickets and get involved and make things happen. We're all Latics fans, we're all in it together, and we all need to be doing a little bit.
And you mentioned, Matt, around social media, but we want to generate ideas. We want people to come forward with ideas. Any examples of where fans think Trust Oldham can play a role? We talked about events, but any kind of aspect of the community, the football club, the stadium. we're happy to at least have a discussion and try and get involved.
I mean, I appreciate that as a board of Trust Oldham, you're a small number of people. You've all got lives and jobs and families and all the other things that you need to do. So yeah, I mean, I agree. We are all in it together, and I'm certainly an advocate for people, rather than criticising and mourning, roll your old sleeves up and do something about stuff yourself. So I think it's up to listeners now to decide if that's something that they want to do and if they want to get involved. You've made the case, you've made the appeal. So we'll see what happens. But I absolutely agree that going forward, the future of Oldham Athletic is in the hands of the fans to a large degree. I think the point you made about Portsmouth and the clubs like that is they've made themselves more investable by being more of a collective unit with the fans trust. It shows potential investors and businesses and sponsors that there's a united fan base, and I think that's critically important. I don't for 1 second think that it's an easy thing to do, and I think there's a lot of hard work that has to go into it. So there is a lot of challenges ahead for Trust Oldham. Yeah, there's a lot of work ahead, and time will tell. Is there anything upcoming that you've got that you want to tell fans about? Anything in particular, or is it just the recruitment drive that you're looking for at the minute?
No, one excuse me. Well, one key thing, we talked about the membership, we talked about the volunteers. We've also set up a easy fundraising shopping app. So anybody who's doing any shopping online can buy normal goods. It doesn't cost them anything extra, and the retailers will then contribute a small amount to Trust Oldham. So again, any little support would be greatly appreciated, and it's a lot of baby steps that we need to take to kind of get us to a better position.
Has that been launched? Has it?
Yeah, that's been launched. Again, it's on the website under Support Us. If anybody wants to go there and click on the link, and anybody can sign up to that without being a member, without being a volunteer.
Right. Okay. No, I'd not noticed that myself. So that's news to me. I'll go and check it out.
I mean, obviously, it's on the website. We emailed all the membership with it, etc., etc. There's been some take up. Mm-hmm. We need more. If the more people that take it up, the more cash it will generate, and it might take a while to build into something significant, but it has the potential to do so.
And what's the plan for any funds that you do raise at the minute? Are you going to sit on those funds for a while and let them build up, or what do you intend to? What's the priority for what you want to do with any funds that fans contribute?
Well, we've only got the one pot at the minute. We have talked about setting up some kind of foundation for funds that potentially could be a rainy day fund, if you like. At the minute, we haven't done that, but if one or two of the other things that we're talking about that are very much in the infancy, so there's no point in me trying to talk one here about them. If one or two of the other things come forward, they could be a bit more significant, and on that basis, we would need to kind of hive those off into another fund, really, just while we built that. For, as you say, some kind of rainy day or whenever it might be necessary, for the future.
Yeah, I think it's important that fans know what they're contributing to.
Once it's in situ, then obviously they will do. Mm-hmm. But at the moment, it isn't there. It's just something that we're talking through.
Is there anything else that you want to say, or is that everything? Just going to give you as much of an opportunity to rack your brains if there's anything that you've forgotten.
Yeah. Jason, anything?
No, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, no, we're going to plod on and see where we get to. The club's been going a long time. We've been going 16 years or so, and we wish to see the football club prosper, and we wish to be, as we said at the very beginning, we will be a critical friend. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I think being critical, being fair, being balanced is what it's all about. And I guess going forward, we'll see how it all pans out at Oldham Athletic, whether it be on the pitch, in the boardroom with the trust. All we want is a club in the town that's doing well and that we can all enjoy and that is at the heart of the community. And there's a little bit of work that needs to be done to get us back to that stage, I think. But obviously, Trust Oldham will play a role in that, and so will the fans, and we'll see how it all comes together. I appreciate you both taking the time out of your schedules this evening to talk to me and to the fans. I'm sure that when they listen to this, when it goes out, that they'll all have more questions and they'll all have views on the things that you've said this evening. So we'll put that out there and we'll see how that goes. It would be great if maybe you could come on again, if maybe some fans could have an opportunity maybe to have a chat with you and put some questions to you. I wanted to give you an opportunity to just come on this particular episode and just tell us whatever it is that you wanted to tell us, basically, and then the fans can listen. And then if you're open to that suggestion, it might be quite a useful tool.
Yeah, more than happy to.
Good stuff.
Yep. All right.
Right. Well, so
let's hope for 3 points tomorrow, eh?
I was just going to say the same. Let's hope for 6 points for. Well, it's a funny one, isn't it? We don't know, but the form's been great. Tomorrow, it'd be nice to get another home win under our belts, and then Newport. I mean, we could be up to 9th if we win both these games. You could be getting up towards the playoffs.
I mean, the team's doing all right. I mean, he's rotating his squad as are most managers in the football league. They're on a good run. We're scoring we're scoring plenty of goals. We must be up in the top 4 or 5 scorers in the league. And all right, we're conceding a few, but if we score 3 and only concede 2, we're all right, aren't we?
Well, we scored loads and conceded loads on the Royal, and that was fantastic. So
it was. Yeah,
I'm all right with it. We've got some exciting players. There's been some great goals scored recently, some really good bits of play. So it's nice, and that's ultimately what we want. We want to be enjoying football and talking about football. And ideal scenario is the trust to just diligently working away in the background, doing good work, and the team are doing well on the pitch, and everybody's happy. That's ultimately what we all want, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks
again,
very much.
Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll talk to you again. The Boundary Park Alert System is a Studio 6 production. It's hosted, edited and mixed by me, Matt Dean, and you can contact me on Twitter at DublinOAFC. If you'd like to get in touch with us or contribute to the show, our email is bpalertsystem@gmail.com, and we're on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at OAFC Podcast. If you'd like to know more about Push the Boundary, you can visit pushtheboundary.co.uk and follow them on Twitter at PTB_OAFC. The match stats are compiled and presented by Thomas Berry, and you can follow Thomas, spelled Tomos, on Twitter at Thomas Berry. The title music for the show is Delirio by Manchester DJ and producer Starion. You can visit redlaserrecords.bandcamp.com for more info and the latest releases. If you like the show, please do review and subscribe on whichever platform you listen. Thanks for listening.